Well, welcome everyone to this month's Mindbody Thrive Coaching Live Q&A. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm super excited to go ahead and get started with all of the questions that we have today. Today is going to be a little bit different because if you haven't already heard, today is the day that the MBT program is launching. So the Mindbody Thrive program that I've been working on for months and condensing 24 years of experience into a 90-day program is finally here. So you'll be getting all of the details about that today. We're going to learn a couple breathing techniques to activate our calm. And then we're also going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. So that's going to be kind of today's session and wrapping everything up together. So thank you so much for joining and tuning in. So first of all, let's take a moment and let's settle in, right? Let's settle into our minds and into our bodies wherever you are. As long as you're not driving, just make sure that you're able to take a comfortable seat and just make sure that the bottom half of your body is steady, whether that's feet on the floor, maybe you're laying down in bed, wherever you are right now, just take a moment to be present. And let's start with the breath, because we know that the breath is the conduit between the mind and the body. So in life, our mind is going all over the place. The world is chaotic and unpredictable. And the only steadiness that we have control over is the breath. So let's go ahead and let's start with one deep belly breath. So initiating the breath from the belly, and let's inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's pause. 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's exhale audibly for a count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And maybe to give a little sigh, give yourself a little warm hug, whatever makes you feel most grounded, warm, and connected right now. All right, so let's dive right in, because today I couldn't be more excited for what I have to share with you. We're going to first talk about and give a full run through of the MBT program. It will just take a few minutes. And those of you that are already signed up and registered to start, you're starting today. So that's super exciting. So this will be very valuable for you. For those of you that have not joined yet, sometimes it's just not knowing enough about it. To understand maybe how it may be beneficial for you. So we're going to go through that really quickly to show you what the program is about and walk you through those steps so that you have all of the information you need to make a really important decision. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so we can get right into it and you can see what I'm looking at. All right, so this screen here is the curriculum for Mindbody Thrive. And so once you're registered into the Institute, Mindbody Resilience Institute, you'll be already plugged into this program. And if you notice here, we've got the course curriculum and we've got all of the different areas that I've been working diligently on to help you find that sense of balance in your life. And that's really what this program is about, it's about how to calm the nervous system, how to bring our baseline into calm instead of our baseline at a level of stress that we're all used to. And we'll be talking about that here shortly. So once you join the program, the first thing is we have a huge welcome section here. Everybody will have an opportunity to fill out a self-assessment. And this is for measuring transformation, because if we don't take inventory of where we are, we won't be able to look back and see the transformation that we're undergoing. And so the self-assessment is a great landing place to start, to really take a deep look at what areas of my life are causing me the most stress? Where am I noticing it showing up in my relationships, showing up at work? Maybe I'm not sleeping, it's affecting the way I eat. So we look at all of those different things when we're looking at the self-assessment. You'll also, if you haven't already yet joined the MBT community group, there is a direct link for that within the curriculum as well. Also, I have a full section on suggested equipment. This course is a standalone course, but if you're looking to go to the next level, there are yoga practices in here that I have specially curated for this program. and you want to be comfortable. So I have a whole list of equipment that you'll need or suggested equipment for your success in the course. All right, then we go over how the program works. So this program has been based on neuroscience, years of research of understanding how the brain, the body, and the mind communicate, and what happens when we get stuck in a state of stress. And stress, sometimes we have to look at stress as, well, I'm not stressed right now, or I feel like I'm managing it pretty well. Well, what about the stress from 10 years ago? Where's that? Was that managed in the way that the body has now cleared that from the system? Even myself, we have to always take the most care of ourselves because no one else is going to do it for us. And so we're looking at stress a little bit differently in this program and understanding how it's not just current stress, but it's really like clearing the system. And obviously that takes time. So the first focus area, the way the program is set up is we have different focus areas that you'll be focusing on every few weeks. And the first thing is understanding the stress cycle. So understanding what's happening in the brain, the body, and the mind, both from the neurochemical side to the pattern behavior side to the physical body and different systems that are involved with the stress cycle. And then every single focus area has its own pattern interrupter. And this is where that transformation starts to occur. We know that it's with consistency of a certain habit that we build that into our life for good. Just as we've built certain habits into our life now when we're stressed, what do we reach for when we're stressed? That's been a habit. And so we're looking at how do we pattern interrupt so that we can have that transformation occur for good. And so the first pattern interrupter is called start, stop, modify. And we'll be looking at different habits for that particular focus area. You'll also start with a meditation every single morning. And the idea is that it's 21 out of 30 days. So we're not asking for perfection because we know we can tie ourselves to perfection. And then we feel like we failed when we don't reach that. And so the goal is between 70 and 80% that we're reaching consistent habits so that the brain and the body start to understand, hey, this is the pattern that we're trying to build. Focus area 2 is all about think. So all of these different focus areas are built on the 5 pillars of MBT, and we'll be going through each of those pillars through this program. The next focus area is breathe, which we'll be practicing another breathing technique at the end of today's session. But that's all about the breath and how to use the breath and to control the breath so that we can control our mind and our thoughts and our life. Now, control can be a funny word that we sometimes don't like to use, or it can have a negative connotation, but it's more about modifying and understanding that we are the observers of our thoughts, our emotions, and our breath. So we'll be talking more about that in that focus area. The next focus area is move, and this is so important. It's about mindful movement, not exercise. There are two different things there. This is about intentionally moving our body in a mindful way. As you probably know, I'm a registered yoga teacher and a meditation teacher. And so I'll be talking about all of the things that are beneficial for the body and mind with movement and how to incorporate small 7-minute routines into your day so that your body is reaping the benefits of this mindfulness. The next focus area is nourish. And again, notice I didn't put food because again, depending on your relationship with nutrition and different struggles that people have had surrounding food, it's about nourishing our mind and our body. And our mind and our body should be seen as one unit. And often we are disconnected either from one or the other. And so Nourish is about understanding the gut-brain relationship. And again, this program is a lot about the science and the spirituality, bringing those two together. We'll also talk about appetite and cravings and hormones, and then even dab a little bit into your Ayurvedic dosha type or your stress type, and what foods are going to be best for balancing those particular stress types. The next area is focus area 6, which is rest. And I don't know about you, but it seems like we as a society are not sleeping enough. Like that always seems to be a pretty hot topic. And you've heard, oh, I should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but we don't really understand where those numbers come from and what's happening when we're sleeping and what's happening when we're not sleeping. So I break down the science of sleep and help you to understand your own biology to tap into an energy zone that is going to be most restorative for your brain and your particular stress type. And of course, that also comes with a 21-day pattern interrupter that you'll have an opportunity to build your own sleep kit. All right, so focus area 7 is thriving with clarity. And this is where, I really found that we cannot thrive in life if our systems are imbalanced. That would be like trying to drive a car without gas. I will not see the full potential of my car if all of the systems are not communicating properly, calibrated properly, and the fuel is high quality. So we leave this for the end because we really want to make sure that all of these other systems are calibrated before we start thriving with clarity. And so we'll have a few different exercises to go through to help you refine not only your purpose, but also every day, because our purpose sometimes gets wrapped up in the big picture. But every single day, our decisions impact our ability to feel fulfilled. All right, and then as a bonus, you will have access to bonus content, which is not only meditations and full-length yoga practices, but also additional things that come into the program. So anytime there's a new breathing practice, if there's new research on the brain that I am just loving, you're going to have access to that immediately within the bonus content section. And then lastly, you'll be able to access the next steps. So let's say you go through the program and you're like, this is so great, but I'm not quite there yet. Well, first of all, you're going to have access to the program for 12 months. Second of all, you'll have access to me for 3 months. And so we'll have monthly Q&A coaching calls just like this where you'll log on. You can even send your questions in advance. There's an area to do that within the course to send your questions in advance. And after that 3 months, though, there will be opportunities for you to find out how to go to the next level after you've calmed the brain and the body. And now how do we start really expressing ourselves in our full capacity, and what does that look like? So that's a little bit of an overview of the MBT program, which I'm so excited to launch. This has just been life-giving to me to be able to know that I can help people on such a global scale in such a big way and not overextend myself. So this is a really great opportunity for you to do that as well. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about this and you're like, gosh, I think it sounds right, but I'm not really sure. Well, let me give you a couple other incentives here. So first of all, today only until 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, you'll have an opportunity to win a free 48-hour pass. And that ends at 7 p.m. tonight. So all you have to do is head on over to either Instagram or Facebook and find me, Elizabeth Priller or Elizabeth Priller Consulting. You will tag 3 friends that you feel could benefit from stress relief. And then you'll also share the post, whether it's on your story, on your page, wherever you prefer to share that. And then the third thing is make sure that you're following or liking my page so that we know that you're going to get the most updated information. And you'll find out if you won. All right, so that's the first thing, is the chance to win a free 48-hour pass. I'm blown away that we're going to have an opportunity to do that, but it ends tonight. Now I'll choose a random winner. And here's the bonus that I'm going to, I wasn't going to do it, but I'm like, you know what? It would only be right. Whoever I choose, they will win, plus their 3 friends that you tag. So if you're chosen, whoever you tag also wins a free 48-hour pass. This will not happen again. So please, please, please take advantage of this while you can. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on for just a moment. That was Wow, right? It's a lot of information. All right, so let's talk about something this month that has come across my radar. Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard the statement, the way you do the small things is the way that you do all things? What do you think about that? Huh? What do you think about that statement? The way you do small things is the way you do all things. And if we think about that, we have opportunities to show up in our lives, in our private lives, where most people don't have access to us. And it's in those very small moments, those very small decisions that cumulatively add up to determine our big stuff, right? How we talk to ourselves. What kind of interaction do we have with ourselves? That's going to impact the way we interact with others. So, what would a promise look like to yourself if you committed to at least 70% consistently every day versus 100% sometimes? Let me ask that again. What would a promise to yourself look like if you committed to 70% every day versus 100% some of the time? Now, unfortunately, we live in a world where stress is ubiquitous. I mean, it's everywhere. And our minds and our bodies have become accustomed to living in this baseline of stress instead of a baseline of calm. We know that stress is going to come at us. Like, that's inevitable, right? But what is our baseline? Sometimes we don't even realize that it's become the standard, that stress has become the standard. So when we're looking to reduce stress in our lives, it's about increasing our resiliency capacity and clearing the energy that's keeping us from thriving. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. So my question to you is, what is your natural state? What is your baseline? As I mentioned earlier, our bodies and our minds wake up in a normal stress state. So then when we get to work, we have our interactions with coworkers, with family, with the guy at the grocery store that cut us off. When the kids are yelling, the dogs are barking, we go into super high stress mode. So how do we stop that cycle? And then we return back, right? But we return back to just a lower stress state. So the way to stop that cycle is to drop the baseline. And that starts with our morning. It starts with that first 60 seconds, first 60 minutes of the day, and allowing calm to be our baseline instead of stress. Now we can reprogram the body in the same way that we programmed it that it is now. Over time, you became stressed, and by not doing anything about it, whether it's because of lack of resources, if it was we have to keep pushing through mentality like it was for me, our bodies and our minds were told that this is the baseline. This is where you go back to zero, is in that higher stress state. Now we know from a biological standpoint, you'll learn about that in MBT program, that over time wreaks havoc on our systems. There's a reason that over 90% of doctors' visits can be traced back to stress. So the mind and the body become conditioned to this new state of being. And you know how it feels after a long, stressful day, and after a fight with your spouse, a friend, a family member, after your boss adds one more thing to your plate. Chaotic energy in the body and the mind start to dictate the flow of energy in the body and mind. So let me say that one more time. Chaotic energy in the body dictates the energy of the mind, and the energy of the mind dictates the chaotic energy in the body. So if that can happen, what would it look like if we could flip the script? If we didn't have that cycle repeat over and over. Now, here's what I think stops people from activating their calm, from taking this moment to just say, okay, enough's enough. I think what stops people is that we would then have to feel the stuff that we didn't want to feel, that we packed away. We would have to feel the hurt, the grief, the loss, the feeling insufficient, feeling not loved, not enough. We would have to feel all of that that's been packed away in the body. And for many of us, that is too much, or the thought of it is too much. But here's the reality. People don't want to feel it. Think about it. What do we reach for when we're stressed? The things that we reach for when we're stressed are to quiet that down. Because you know what? It just plain sucks. There is no pretty way to say it. But I would challenge that the most successful people have courageously dealt with the junk in their minds and their bodies. They have been courageous enough to be calm and to have that clarity, the confidence, and the focus to do what they're supposed to do in this world. So try asking yourself this simple question. Think about your first response when you're stressed. Maybe it's to hop onto social media. Maybe it's to grab something out of the fridge, whether a beverage or a food substance. I don't know. Everybody's got a different baseline stress response. And of course, depending on your stress type, you may have one or more responses that you revert to frequently. But in that moment, I would challenge you to ask yourself, what am I feeling? And what am I avoiding that I feel like I have to resort to that? I feel like I need to grab my phone and scroll social media. Is it loneliness? Is it fear of missing out? Is it boredom? Is it unhappiness? Is it feeling incompetent? Whatever it is, not feeling loved. And I would challenge you to first ask yourself that question. What am I avoiding? What don't I want to feel? And then if you're courageous enough with support in a safe space to take that next step to say, all right, I need to do something about that. In the moment, it may not seem like it's detrimental, but it's when we stack these things over time that we know it's developed dis-ease or disorder in the mind or the body. So what would it look like to have the courage to feel and face this, to clear the energy that's on the inside and to build up that resilience? And resilience is not being tough. Resilience is not grit. Resilience is flexibility, bounce, to shoulder it when things come and it bounces a little bit better. It's not to say we won't fall. It's not to say that stress won't come, but it is to say that we will bounce back up with the right tools. So we know that there's apps out there that are incredibly powerful to help people. I mean, every day, especially in light of a pandemic, mental health and well-being have been at the forefront, which I'm so grateful for, that it's been drawing our attention. But an app can only do so much, because nothing replaces having another human on the other side to walk hand in hand, lockstep with us, that has someone that has been through the mud, to walk with you, to support you, and to connect you with accountability. So what questions arise naturally when you are faced with an important decision? What part of today did you go, oh, yeah, I don't want to feel it because it sucks, but that means it's stuck, instead of safely releasing it? So that's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is to ask yourself these questions and then allow those questions to arise in you as well. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open the chat, and I want you, wherever you're watching this, I want you to go ahead and enter your questions into the chat. And while those questions are coming in, let's take a few minutes to learn a new breathing technique that will help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a really long word for your calm. That's responsible for your calm state. And now remember that this is not a one and done. One and done it's kind of like putting on a Band-Aid for a gaping wound. It may momentarily help in the moment, but we know over time, in order to heal, that it takes consistency, it takes safety, it takes time. Remember that. And remember that rewiring the stress response is possible, and it can bring healing into the mind and body, but it's with that consistency. That 70% I mentioned earlier, it's more important to be 70% consistently than it is to be 100% when the stuff hits the fan. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's dive right into this breathing. We know that, well, maybe we don't know. Let me rephrase that. When we are inhaling, the inhale is activating the parasympathetic, or excuse me, the sympathetic nervous system. So an inhale focuses more on energy, whereas the exhale focuses more on calm. So if we needed to energize ourselves, and if you think about it, if you're scared, if you're running, there's some threat, you're inhaling quickly and not so much focus on the exhale. But if we want to activate the calm, we are going to do the reverse. So let's start with the technique. It's commonly called 4-7-8, sometimes 4-8, sometimes 2-1. I mean, there's lots of different numbers we can use, but the focus is that we're focusing on a shorter inhale and an elongated exhale. And what that does is activates the vagus nerve to calm the nervous system. So let's go ahead and do that. If you're in the same position here, thank you so much for staying with me this long. But let's go ahead and give that a try. So we're going to start with an inhale through the nose. And once we become really conditioned into this technique, we want to focus on the shoulders not rising with the breath, because that's usually when the shoulders are rising, that means we're taking a more shallow breath. And that also means that the breath is coming from a different area of the brain. So over time, with practice, with instruction, and with guidance, we can activate the breath from the diaphragm or in the belly. And so imagine that you're trying to fill the belly up and in. And then exhale for the count of 8. Inhale through the nose for the count of 4. Exhale for a count of 8. Do one more. Inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to pause there. But I would encourage you to ask yourself, take inventory right now of how you feel. Maybe you notice a little calming sensation over the body. Maybe your thoughts are a little bit more calculated and clear. But again, it's with consistency and it's with practice. So I want to thank you, first of all, for joining me. It's just my honor to be able to connect with people that are truly looking to improve the well-being of their lives. And, well-being goes far beyond the physical body and the mind. It touches the emotions, our relationships, our occupations, our finances, everything, because how we make small choices impacts our big ones. So again, thank you. And my offer, the doors are still open for MBT. The MBT program opens today. So if you are ready, I will put a link in the comments. If you have questions, please reach out to me. But after the doors close today, they will not be open for about 9 to 10 weeks. So if this is your opportunity, jump on it. I would love to have you join. And thank you so much. And I hope that you have a wonderful day, and always let your peace be your perfume. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again.